Good now, everyone. I hope this broadcast finds you well. My name is Artorius Winchester, Scholar of the Dreaming Glade, and welcome back to the 15th VTuber cocktail stream. Getting on for a year and a quarter's worth of these streams now. I'm doing them once a month, roughly. Yeah. I feel like I've definitely skipped some months somewhere, because I feel like I started these streams like a couple of months in. And, yeah. Like, there's definitely a couple of months at the start where I missed out because I was still working out how exactly I'd do something like this. And then maybe a couple more skipped months in between that makes up for that 3/4 of a year that I seem to be missing. Or just under 3/4 of a year, to be fair. I've got a couple of months yet. But yeah, important thing is, we're here now. Sorry for the little recap of the, like, mentally. I wonder how many of these I've actually, like, missed. It's got to be, like, less than I think. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well out there. I'm doing quite good. It is a Sunday evening, not a Saturday one, which is going to be weird going to bed after this. Yeah. I'm very used to this being a Saturday, and for me to be able to just kind of space out Sunday after a good couple of hearty drinks is not going to be the case tomorrow. I'm just going to have to soldier through, but we'll do what we can. Oh. But yeah. So, I wonder... Nothing good happens on a Sunday. Peppermint cordial, I mean, to be fair, what happens on a Sunday is normally better than what happens on a Monday. I'll give it that. You know, fair enough, nothing outstanding happens. But aside from this cocktail stream, obviously, that's pretty outstanding. But, yeah, it's a damn sight better than having to deal with Monday things. But yeah, so... I suppose I shall roll right into starting our first cocktail. No point dilly-dallying too much. Just sleep through Monday, problem solved. That does solve that particular problem, you're not wrong. I feel like it may create a few other slightly more significant problems, but, I don't know. Depends on your lifestyle. But, yeah. Let's just roll into this, that's future use problem. You're not wrong, and I have used that excuse to justify things before, is the thing. But, all the same, there are things I'd really rather not sleep through. Well, things I would rather sleep through on Monday, but I don't really have the option of doing so, if that makes sense. I think it did. I think that grammatically scans. But, yeah, anyway, so... I wonder if anyone watching actually has managed to decipher which the like who the two VTubers are going to be making cocktails based off of tonight. They'll be in the thumbnails on, you know, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube. In case anyone hasn't seen them there. Obviously, Twitch, don't do thumbnails. I should probably bring it up, actually. Can I bring it up? Probably not easily. But that's an idea for future streams. I shall have one of those, like, on standby. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Okay. For next stream, I'll see if I can do that. Unless, I don't want to turn something off here and then it just accidentally, like, shows my desktop or something, so I'm not going to mess around with this now. But, yeah, maybe for future streams I'll have, like, a little flash up of the thumbnail and say, like, okay, these are the tubers, as it were. Can anyone guess them? But we're going to move right into our first one right now. Which, again, props to you if you guessed it, but our first VTuber is Awesome Fuchsia, who is a sheepy librarian, like ASM artist, very soothing to listen to, honestly. She's pretty great, like, when I just need to kind of, like, get something done. She's got a very kind of, like, you know, calming voice that puts me in the zone, I think. And also, well, I'll get to it probably. I'll remind you later as well, but she has a new model, I believe, which is what this art is, that's going to be, like, revealed, debuted tomorrow. And I think she's doing a pretty big stream alongside it as well. I don't want to cross my wires here, but I'm pretty sure she is. But yeah, feel free to go and check her out. Obviously on Twitter. I'll be putting links to everyone along with the cocktail recipes in the YouTube description once this is done. So head over there if you'd like a little written reminder of how to make the cocktail I'm about to make. Or at least how I made it. And then, hey, if you want to improve on it, you certainly can. And there was an original point I was getting to here. Oh yeah, links. They'll be on YouTube. But yeah, so making a cocktail for our sheepy librarian, Autumn Fuchsia. Let's bring up them 4 bars of. Again, I think I say this every stream, but like, they're sort of planning bars, and they're sort of, well, I planned for this, and then this is how things turned out. Like, they symbolize both the before you've done it and the after you've done it. Or at least the before I've done it and the after I've done it. But they'll give you a gist of what the drink's like. So on the bitter to sweet scale, we're actually going a little bit bitter on this one. Nothing, like, overpoweringly bitter, I'd say. It's more that some of the kind of spirits that it uses are quite herbal, which can give that kind of bitter element to it. And there's not a whole lot of things which I would call, like, very synthetically sweet in there. So we're not looking at any, like, you know, blue curacao or Midori or, like, peach schnapps or, you know, anything of that ilk in there. And we're not, you know, we're not pouring, like, lemonade. And by lemonade, for the Americans out there, I mean lemon soda. Well, no, I mean lemonade, but you call it lemon soda. Sorry, let me correct myself once more. But yeah, so nothing like that going in this one. It's a pretty straight up and down drink, honestly. On the strength scale, we're actually, and this is going to surprise some people when I show them the ingredients list, but this is a fairly weak cocktail. It's like fairly low ABV. The majority of this drink is actually comprised of a, should we say, a special ingredient that I haven't worked with much before. I've been beavering away trying to kind of research, well, partly research and partly experiment with how best to make this particular ingredient sit well with the alcohols. I've come up with a solution that I'm pretty happy with, but obviously that ingredient is non-alcoholic and it makes up most of the drink. So, we are going fairly weak here, even though some of the other liqueurs involved, spirits, are just a tad strong, shall we say. But they come in, like, you know, small supply just to add flavor. On the complexity scale, we're going fairly simple. The only reason that's, like, this isn't even a shaken drink. We're just looking at stirred for this one. The only reason the simplicity is down there is because, well, because of something... Oh. Excuse me. The only reason the simplicity is down there, really, is because of something I'm about to reveal in a minute. It's because we are dealing with hot liquids. I got you all. I told you I'd do a hot drink at some point, and you all thought it would be October, because to be fair, I'm still planning on doing one in October. But may I present to you the first ever hot cocktail we've had on this channel. Finally, this bar isn't just set to cold. Like, finally, we've got something. And as I was kind of, to link back to the simplicity / complexity bar, this is also why this drink kind of is not fully simple, even though it's just a stirred drink. It's because you do need to time it kind of right to have the hot liquid, shall we say, that I shall reveal in a minute, like, be hot enough that it works in the drink, but not hot enough that when you try and pour it into a glass, your glass shatters because you've changed the temperature of the things in it too fast, which is a thing that can happen. So just on the off chance that someone messes this up and gets, you know, glass shards and, you know, boiling liquid everywhere, which, not a good combo, I'll be honest. I've heard of combos that are better. Yeah, don't do that. Or at least be very careful about it. And I'll show you how I prepare the drink to avoid that. It's not a huge deal, I'm making it out, but, you know, it is just a health and safety, you know, potential, so we're going to knock the simplicity down a bit, even though we're basically just stirring some ingredients together. God, these start stream yawns, they get me every time. I don't know why. I just start talking and my body goes, right, okay, start yawning. I do not know why. Okay. So, as I've kind of already mentioned, this will be the first ever hot cocktail I've made on this stream. That's an OSHA violation. Yeah, honestly, boiling water and broken glass, I'm sure an OSHA inspector would not be pleased to see that. As would anyone else, to be fair, if they were in the near proximity of it. But, yeah. Oh. Definitely, one to maybe not tell Osha about if it happens. But yes, this will be the first ever hot cocktail I made in this stream. I'm excited, honestly, to show it off. Oh, yo. Hey, Antipixel, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, sorry, hot cocktail. Do forgive me for occasionally losing track of my train of thought there while I'm jumping around a few different things. But yeah, so I'm very excited to show this one off. I think I've actually really knocked it out the park with this one. I'm quite proud of it from my previous couple of tastings of it. I don't think it's going to be a drink that's going to be universally for everyone, but amongst the people who do like this style of drink, this, you know, slightly kind of more bitter, herbal. Damn, yawning. This kind of slightly more bitter, herbal kind of hot drink. I think it's going to go down a treat. So I based this around, yeah, kind of rolls into my second point there. Base this around making something herbal and comforting to fit Autumn's vibe, which is, you know, kind of very comfy, you know, kind of very relaxing, I find her. Yeah, it's a good time all around. So, without further ado, I will now present the Ovish tea, which is what I'm calling this cocktail. Ovish there obviously coming from Ovis, which means sheep-related. What's the genus name for sheep? So that's kind of where that's come from. And it's like, it's sort of sheepy, so it's Ovish. I thought that one was clever. So let me just chuck that on stream. Doopy-doop. Now, before I switch over to the hand cam, in fact, no, I'll do that now. I'll give it a wave. So, there we are. Are we... Pretty clever? Oh, I'm glad you think so, Antipixel. And, Aya, nice to see you again. Hope you're doing well. I am currently going to make my first ever hot cocktail. But in order to do that, I need hot water. And I've just realised I left my kettle downstairs. So I'm just going to run and get that. I'll be 1 minute. Do excuse me. Alright, my apologies. I have just got back, and I see we've had a couple more chats there. So yeah, Miracle Gaming, or Mir8 I'm going to stick to Miracle. Yeah, hello there, nice to see you. Glad for you to join us this cocktail stream. And Antipixel, believe me, I did run for it. I did also kind of give the kettle a quick reboil as well, just to make sure that we are kind of up to temperature, as it were. So, our first ingredient in an Ovish tea, well, technically our last ingredient, but I'm going to make it first, and you'll see why in a minute, is some tea. Now, my weapon of choice here for teas is I brought some nice kind of cranberry and raspberry fruit tea. Partly because I think the colour fits the whole kind of fuchsia-ish vibe. Like, I wanted to get something in that ballpark. It's not going to be exactly fuchsia, obviously. Quite a hard colour to do in drinks. It fits that kind of vibe. And the cranberry and raspberries in it as well. Like, I've had this tea by itself, obviously, to test it out beforehand. It's like, you know, it's obviously still kind of fruity, but it's in a more, like, tart way than an overtly sweet way, which I think complements the other ingredients in this drink a lot better than if it was, like, a much sweeter kind of tea. So, what we're going to do is I have already put one of these tea bags in... I I'm being very clinical about this. I put this in like a measuring jug. You can probably just do this in something that you can easily pour out of into something else if you want. I do not recommend making the tea straight in the glass you're going to serve it in, because as I mentioned before, if you put boiling water in a glass, the temperature change can cause it to just chatter, and then you have boiling water and glass shards everywhere. And as we've previously established with peppermint cordial, that's an OSHA violation, and you will be fined for it, and also may be injured. But you don't want OSHA after you. Scientific booze making. Oh, yeah, well, I like to be, I like to be on the dot with these sort of things. So, I'm going to just pour in some boiling water here. About 200 ml. Should do it. There we go. Right. And then we're going to give that a bit of a stir. Kind of let it brew. You'll see it goes this lovely colour. In fact, that actually looks great on camera. Yeah. I was from that inscription screen like 10 days ago, if you remember. I knew I'd seen you before here, Miracle. Yeah, of course, you were the card gaming enthusiast getting into, or maybe vouching for Lorcana, if I remember correctly, yes? Yeah, good to see you again. I'm chuffed you've stopped by. That is some beautiful red. It is, it really is, yeah. Kind of like a reddy pink. And like I say, I think this was probably one of the closest colours we were getting to, what's the word? Yeah, one of the closest colours we were getting to, like, fuchsia, I think. It's still a little way off, but, I'm working with the best that I can here. So I'm just going to press the tea bag up against the side. Old British technique for making tea. Put tea bag in, stir. Press tea bag against the side of, whatever container you're in, just to really kind of press out any of the, remaining uninfused bits of the interior of the tea bag. I'm going to stir that for just a little bit longer. And then we'll set it aside for a bit, because it has to cool a little bit. Doesn't that pressing release the bitter chemicals? Now, see, this is something I was actually going to bring up, Antipixel, is that this is the way that, I have always made tea. Although... I mean, I'm not arguing about tea with the British. I mean, yeah, there is that. Like, this is the way that me and my family have always made tea. Granted, I'm heretical to say this as a British person, but I am not a tea drinker. I'm generally not much of a hot drinks person, honestly. I'll have the occasional coffee, but, like, that's really it for me. So I imagine there are going to be some tea aficionados out there who have already, like, absolutely, like, shat themselves and gone, no, you're doing all of this wrong, the tea is ruined, why are you using this tea bag, and it's like, I'm doing my best, is all I can say. I am no, expert on tea. This is my first time faffing around with it. The way I prepare it here makes a decent cocktail. If you think you can elevate the cocktail by making a better tea, I encourage you to do so, and also let me know how you would, like, prepare tea differently. Right, I think that's enough stirring of that. So I'm going to, again, just as I said, set it to one side for now, because you can, well, I'm not sure you can see, but there is still steam rising off it, and it's quite warm at the minute. So, I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to prepare the alcoholic portion of the drink, which, as I said earlier, is just going to go straight in the glass. No need for shakers on this one. We're going to simply freeball it. So, our first ingredient... if I can bring up my little side recipe sheet that I've got. Yep, there we are. The first ingredient is going to be, to kind of kick off the whole herbal theme, is some gin. Now, specifically, I'm using this Ellis Butterfly Pea Scotch Gin. Scottish gin, even, not Scotch. Although Scotch does mean Scottish, technically, but that's more with whiskey. But I digress. We're going to be using some Butterfly Pea Gin, which, as you can see, has this lovely blue colour, but also changes when it comes into contact with other... what the hell is butterfly pea? I'm glad you asked. It's a specific type of, or like flower or plant that this is made from. In fact, I might get some, infused with butterfly pea extract. So specifically the extract from this plant is what makes the gin blue. And it also gives it this kind of like, I think a lot more of a herbal thing going for it than, say, like a London Dry. So we're going to be wanting to start with half an ounce. Oops, I punched my camera. Half an ounce of this. I don't want any peas in my drink. Well, luckily, there are no physical peas. There's just the idea that a pea that's blue, apparently, was there at some point. So, let's pour in half an ounce of this. Ooh. There we go. Demon King Hellion, good to see you. And yeah, indeed, we are mixing alcohol here. Only the finest of the booze. Well, I say the finest. I've got the Goldschlager on the table, so I can't, in good conscience, say that, but oh well. But yeah, anyway. That is our first ingredient. My sibling bought Anchan tea once because it's blue. I mean, yeah, blue is cool. It's like blue curacao, which is confusingly made from oranges. I don't know how or why it's blue. It's one of... I should really learn that one day, because it's one of the most common, like, alcohol-y related questions, is that why is blue curacao blue when it's made from oranges? Doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. Like, why? Oh. But, yeah. Our next ingredient, is, again, continuing the kind of herbal theme, we're going to be taking half an ounce of Green Chartreuse. Now, for those of you who've never heard of Chartreuse, or specifically its green version, it is made from a bunch of different kind of, like, French, like, herbs and, like, roots and various other, you know, bits and bobs. It's the secret herbs and spices that is made by, like, one monastery in France, and it has become, in recent years, a lot harder to get your hands on, because the monks there just said, nah, we ain't making more of this. Like, we see that demand is rising, but we're just not going to make more. So, you have a lot of people trying to get a fairly small batch of Chartreuse. And I'm quite lucky that I had to hunt around for this bottle of Green Chartreuse. I had to call in some favors to get it. But, yeah, we have a bottle. It's lovely stuff, actually. If I had to give... Let me just give it a sniff so I can try and describe it for you. Yeah, I think... It's hard because obviously I think particularly my smell palette isn't like, or palette I should say, isn't really refined enough to be able to split apart every single herb and spice in there. I just know that it is herbal, it is slightly bitter, it complements the gin nicely. So I'm going to be adding half an ounce of it. So half an ounce of Green Chartreuse. There we go. The lid back on that. I did more research on the colouring. Oh, is this about blue curacao anti-pixel or for the butterfly pea? I mean, either way, I'd actually be genuinely quite interested to see what you turned up. Because I'm all about, you know, learning more about this kind of stuff. If for no other reasons, I can regurgitate it back to other people and be like, look how smart I am. But no, it is also genuinely interesting. So yeah, if you've got more, then shoot, by all means. Meanwhile, I'm going to be getting our third ingredient ready, which you may be able to see at the top left there, is some Pernod Absinthe. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Well, actually, hold on, let me read this from Antipixel first. Blue curacao. It used to be natural, something from the copper kettles reacting with the alcohol, turning it blue. Now it's just done by... Oh, so the blue is from copper. Would you drink that on its own or just to complement something else? I'm going to assume you're talking about the Chartreuse there, Demon King Hellion. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Chartreuse generally is used as like a complementary thing in the same way that something like Amaro Averna is. Like, there are certain flavors it goes very well with, and you use it to enhance them. You could, like, drink it, I guess, you know, neat, and it would taste a bit like a slightly weird gin, perhaps. But... yeah, I think normally Chartreuse is a kind of complementary flavor. But yeah, anyway, so. Pernod Absinthe. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Artie, you said this wasn't going to be a strong drink. Why are you putting absinthe in this? To which I retort, A, there's going to be a quarter ounce of absinthe in this because I don't want it for its alcohol volume. I want it for its nice kind of aniseedy, kind of licoricey flavor that it's got going for it. And B, even after that's added... I'm going to try and hold this up. Well, if I swirl this around a bit, actually, hopefully you can see there is not exactly a lot of liquid in there. I was, sir, and thank you. Not a problem. Demon King Hellion. For the funsy, it'll be silly. I mean, I think if you're going to make an it'll be silly drink, then I'd be reaching for my bottle of spiritus over absinthe. But, absinthe gets a really bad rap, honestly, for something that is only, I say only, but it's only 68%. And it's a delicious smelling drink, I've got to say. Absinthe might Absinthe might legitimately be like, one of my favorite kind of like underrated spirits. Funny fact, I was kind of looking this up actually. It originally got its bad rap of like, you know, oh, if you drink it, you know, you'll see green fairies and hallucinate, and everyone who drinks absinthe, you know, goes on to, you know, kill their family, rah, rah, rah. Turns out that was all propaganda made by the French government in like the late 1800s, I want to say. I cannot comprehend drinking something that strong. Again, it sounds scary, but like a lot of absinthe's fear factor comes from the fact that the French government literally launched propaganda to essentially give reasons, air quotes, reasons, there we are, to criminalize it, because it was being drunk a lot in these like specific, like almost like tea parlors, in, you know, that kind of period of time in France, and the government wasn't making any tax money off of it. So they were just like, right, okay, fuck you, that's illegal now, because we're not making money off it. And the reason is, it makes you hallucinate and kill people and stuff. And it's like, it's all bollocks. But the green fairy kind of mythos has stuck around with it. And it's even kind of wheeled back round to making it popular again now, kind of, as, you know, the advent of things like Moulin Rouge. You know, almost. But yeah. While it is, you know, obviously not as, they poured it over like sugar cubes, didn't they? Exactly that, Antipixel. Yes, they had these little kind of almost tea things that would like slowly disperse like absinthe mixed with water and then push it over like sugar cubes. And it, you know, it looked like a great way to just, you know, sit around in the afternoon slowly sipping this stuff. And, you know, with it being 68%, you sip enough of it, you're gonna have a great afternoon. Oh. But yeah, the thing I really like this absinthe for is, obviously, I'll tell you, I'm going to pour this 1/4 ounce and then I'll gush about absinthe a bit more afterwards. So, just a 1/4 ounce. Like I say, we don't want to go crazy with it. So, about that much. I'm going to throw that in there. What I really like absinthe for in this drink specifically is, there's, like I say, there's obviously you've got the bitter herbal kind of stuff with the gin and the chartreuse, and then you've got some slightly sweeter notes from the tea and the last ingredient I'm going to add, which is between 1/4 and 1/2 ounce of honey, which I'll add in a minute, and the kind of the absinthe being licorice, which is kind of the quintessential middle ground of bitter and sweet, helps marry them really nicely. Like, you don't need much, just need enough to get the point across with the aniseed. But, you know, a bit is really good. So anyway, I'm going to now add that honey. Like I say, it's between 1/4 and 1/2 ounce. It really depends on how much of a sweet tooth you have. I have a fairly sweet tooth, so I'm going to go closer to 1/2, but not like a full half. We're going to say, I don't know, yay much honey. We're going to pour that in. You're going to watch it all sink to the bottom, which is fine. It's totally fine. Because we'll fix that in a minute. Just try and get as much of this honey out of there as possible, because it don't half run slowly. Well, like honey, smart idea. Yeah, no, exactly. It's, ooh, there we go. Yeah, it's like if we're making something like tea anyway, like I did have a version of this drink that tried to also incorporate lemon, but then I was like, you know, the lemon just doesn't really fit the vibe. We don't need sour in here. We've got a kind of good thing going anyway. Okay, okay, I just finished watching a movie. Oh, which one? Out of interest. So we're going to give this a stir. We're going to try and incorporate that honey with the rest of the booze in the bottom here. So there we go. We've got a bit of a stir to do that. And then our tea should have cooled down sufficiently by now. So it's still hot, but it's not boiling enough that it's going to break the glass. At least I sure hope so. I'm actually going to test that before I do that, because if I have a broken glass on stream and all over my area where I prepare drinks, that's going to be a bad time. But yeah, so we can see the honey is obviously a lot less at the bottom now. I'll kind of lift it up. You know, you can see it's incorporated a lot more nicely. So I'd say we've done our job with mixing that. so I'm going to fish out our tea bag from our, that'll be a, asterisk silly time, yeah. Silly is one word for it, although that would be the bad kind of silly. Yeah, so I'm just going to fish out this tea bag. Oops, he says, missing it. Press out any last remaining bits of tea. Toss that out. Let's give this a last feel. Yeah, I reckon we should be fine to pour this in now. So we're going to add our tea to this. There we go. And we're going to give that a stir to incorporate everything. And again, I'm just going to be a bit gentle with it because I don't want to do any sudden movements. There is no badness in silly. Such statement would be heresy. Well, perhaps we need to find an alternative for silly to having a glass shatter on me then. Your move, sir, as it were. Okay, so we've given this again another good stir with my trusty old bar spoon. And there we are. It's a beautiful looking drink. And then finally, I'm going to garnish it. Now, comedic? It can be slapstick. I suppose, yeah. No, you do have a point there. You do have a point there. But yeah, so for the garnish for this drink, now, in an ideal world, I would have got something in that was a little more suited for this. And I kind of ran out of, I tried to find some flowers that I think would work well with the herbalness of this and the kind of nature or the kind of naturey vibe we've got going. But I couldn't find any in the right color, so we're going again with something we may have seen on stream before. One of these little kind of white plumeria looking flowers. Just to put on the side. Again, in an ideal world, it'd be more fuchsia colored. You know. Like a good, a good at least pink plumeria or something for crying out loud. But I couldn't find any, so that's what we've got. And that is going to be our Ovish tea, which I'm going to take a photo of. So I can put it on Twitter later. He says. Hello? Oh, 1 second. There we go. Right. Photo. There we go. Right. That would look great in the correct environment. I think honestly it's quite a pretty drink. Flower aside, although now that I've taken that flower now I've taken that photo for Twitter and Blue Sky, I'm going to remove the flower and give it a sip. Let's see what we've got here. Ooh. Yeah, no, I've really nailed it with that. I think you obviously get that it's quite alcoholic, although that happens a lot, as I've learned, with hot drinks, because ethanol, which is the main chemical component of alcohol, actually has a lower boiling point than water. So if you pour a bunch of tea in, the ethanol will kind of get closer to boiling and will all rise to the top. So you find hot drinks with alcohol, like, even though I didn't add a whole much, it's not a strong drink, you know. It's just a little bit of gin, a little bit of chartreuse, and a very small amount, like, a quarter of an ounce of absinthe. But it does, like, obviously you do, when you kind of bring it up to your mouth, get that, like, a strong kind of, like, boozy nose on it. Which is, again, why, like, I had a version of this drink that originally used, like, 1.5 ounces of gin. And it was just, bleh, it was massively overpowering. Like, you couldn't taste anything else. But obviously tweaked it back to this version, just slowly lowering the alcohol values. And now that you get that, obviously the herbal alcohol is present, but it's not overbearing, you get, instead of just we're going to kill you with a drink, we're going to have like a lot of nice kind of herbal interplay between like the gin and the chartreuse. We're going to then marry that with, I'm going to try and bring these on, kind of on screen as I talk about them, because I think that might be a neat thing to do. So obviously you have a lot of kind of interplay between the gin and the chartreuse. Between 13 different herbs and spices or whatever you want to call them. I think it's like actually 37 or something in chartreuse. Does it actually say? Let's have a read. 130. I was way off. Yeah. I'm not sure if you can read that. 130 plants, flowers, kind of about there. Yeah. Plants, flowers, barks, roots, and spices. Death by cocktail isn't the worst way to go. True, but I think if we're making a cocktail for someone with a very relaxed vibe, death by cocktail is perhaps the wrong move. Don't get me wrong, there's some VTubers out there who that would work for quite well, but I don't think Autumn's one of them. Yeah, so I just taken another sip to remind myself of where I was. I could almost see myself adding another maybe quarter of an ounce of gin to this, to be fair. But again, I think that's going to be to your personal taste preference. It's like it's an avenue you could go down. Because you've got the interplay between these. You've got, as I was about to bring on, obviously the absinthe then acting as a bridge between this kind of like herbal play and the honey and the tea. Oh yeah. I mean, we all know what that is at this point. But yeah, I think honestly, the absinthe is low, like in a kind of background player sense, the star of the show for this drink. I think it was kind of fortuitous that I was thinking like, technically you can always add more alcohol than upgrade to straight gin. Yeah, you could, but I think you'd miss out on a lot of the kind of flavor interplay. That I've just explained there. If you were to drink straight gin, don't get me wrong, some straight gins are nice, but you've got to be in a straight gin kind of mood. And this is much more of a, almost like herbal remedy on a cold day, like, kind of, drink. And I mean herbal remedy not in the it tastes bitter and gross. I mean herbal remedy is in the it's kind of, soul-soothing kind of way. Yeah. It's amazing how much the tea comes through, actually, in this. But for obviously, at least with the teas I'm using. Linkbury, nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. We've just made some Ovish tea, and I'm just explaining why it's actually pretty damn good. I'm pretty chuffed with this one. But yeah, so I was like, oh yeah, so I was saying it's amazing how much the tea actually comes through in this, because tea, like at least for me. It's not exactly a flavor that comes and, like, slaps you in the face, even with, like, a fruity tea like this. I think it still is fairly, background. So the fact that it's elevated by the other, nice, I'm more of a coffee person. Yeah, no, that's fair. Honestly, I relate to you there. I'm more of a coffee person myself, but, I've been experimenting with alcohol in this, fruit tea, and it's worked out really well. That is lovely, yeah. Well, I'm not going to go on too much more about how chuffed I am at that, because, yeah, like, if you happen to have the ingredients about, admittedly, I know one of the ingredients is Green Chartreuse, which is in short supply at the minute, and another well, actually, to be fair, all of these except the tea, the alcohols themselves, are a bit of a pain to find. Like, the Butterfly Pea Gin, you can substitute it out for, like, any gin that takes your fancy, really. I like Butterfly Pea because it's one I had around and it's more herbal, but you could substitute it out for whatever. The Green Chartreuse and the Absinthe, I wouldn't sub for anything else, which is a shame because not a lot of people are going to be... sorry, I have to go. Hope you all have fun rest of stream. Well, thanks for stopping by, Miracle Gaming. It's been great seeing you here. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, night, wherever you are. But, yeah. Obviously, so the Chartreuse is in a bit short supply. The Absinthe is not something a lot of people are going to have around. Gin, more of a whiskey person. Yeah, fair. Specifically, this called for some Butterfly Pea Gin, Linkbury. Which is not bad stuff, like I said, very herbal, which fits this drink quite nicely. But I shall stop rehashing old points. I'm going to go and just very quickly clean out my jigger and get some ice. Drinks aren't baking, right? They're concepts. You can play around with specifics. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And by all means, homebrew this to, whatever you want, even if it ends up being a completely different drink. If this is a good starting, point for a journey to a new drink you make, I'm happy to have been the starting point. I'm not saying if you change, any ingredient in this, then, you know, like, the earth will shatter or something. Like, you know, if you want to tweak this to something that's more to your tastes, by all means do. I'm merely here to give ideas and drinks that I think, you know, if you do want to make them exactly, are pretty good. And also do justice to the VTuber I'm making them for. So like I say, I think we've got something, you know, we've got something very soothing here, not too alcoholic. And yeah, I think it fits the kind of calming, what's the word I'm looking for? Vibes, I guess. The calming vibes that I feel in, you know, whenever I am tuned into an autumn stream. But yeah, so, as I was saying, I need to just very quickly run and clean my jigger out and grab some ice for our next drink. So, I'll be back in just 2 minutes or so. Won't be very long, just hang tight and we'll have another cocktail based on a different VTuber. But yeah, back in just a few minutes. Voila! There we go. We're back. We are back in business. Apologies for the small delay, everyone. One day, I'll work out a slightly better system for this. The heavens crashing in upon me after I had a shot of sweet and sour syrup. Sweet and sour syrup's good stuff, though. Dude, that could work, actually. Maybe you're a crazy man, but maybe you're onto something there. Ooh. That's actually a very interesting idea, Antipixel. Some sweet and sour mix? Yeah. I could see that. And yeah, thanks for the welcome back as well, Linkbury. Yeah, okay, right. So, we're going to be moving on to our next VTuber now, who... this is probably the silhouette I imagine that everyone will have got, particularly it's you since... the delays don't matter, I got enough JP flashcards to do. Oh, are you also on Anki Anti-Pixel? I actually do a lot of that myself. I didn't do my Anki in 6 months. Oh god, yeah, you're going to be there for ever. Yeah, enjoy your 40 billion cards. I am so sorry to hear that. I wouldn't wish 6 months of Anki in one sitting on anyone. That's a lot. 400. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, 400 is still, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty big mountain. But no, I thought with 6 months you'd hit into like the thousands. But yeah, 400 is still like a lot for one sitting. Like, jeez. But yeah, so our next VTuber is, as I said, this is probably one that people would have guessed the silhouette of. Is none other than, I will pretend to understand as I draw and lurk. Well, in case you don't, Linkbury, Anki is essentially like a flashcard software. Well, me and Antipixel, it seems, both use it for learning Japanese vocabulary. It like essentially will show you cards, and then depending on whether you get them right or wrong, it will space them out again. But obviously you can't pause the rate at which those timers expire. So if you leave your Anki for ages, you basically have to do every single card it has in one sitting, and it can be a pain. You've got to keep on top of it to stop it building up. It's kind of how Anki works. But yeah, anyway, back to the drink. Yeah, so it is Amelia Watson, Hololive Myths Ace Detective, and recent, as of about a week ago exactly, I think, actually, graduatee. Yeah, the spaced repetition becomes not spaced, exactly that, yeah, Antipixel. But yes, obviously, as a lot of you will have known, Ame kind of graduated about a week, well, soft graduated about a week ago. She's an affiliate now, so she might turn up in the future, but she's stopped regular streaming activities. I'm gonna obviously at some point get round to doing all of Myth. It's amazing I don't think I've done any of Myth so far, actually. I don't think, at least if I've repeated Ame, then oops, but to be fair, like, Myth are like the big five. I think, obviously, I knew of, like, VTubing via Hololive a little bit before that. But obviously, you know, Myth was, I think, for me and for a lot of other people, like, the main draw. So, I will be honoring, you know, each of their members, hopefully before they graduate. But if not before, then definitely as they hard/soft graduate. So anyway, but with that, I guess slightly distressing news out the way, let's make a drink that's kind of more in Ame's spirit. Let's make something, you know, bubbly, maybe a little gremlin-y. You know, a little, we shouldn't really be using that, but we'll make it work kind of energy. Let's really do her proud, shall we? So, on the bitter to sweet scale, we're actually going kind of like mid-bitter. Now, it's because I wanted this, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think this is any reflection on Ame. I know I've just built into that a lot. But I think this drink is actually quite classy with its ingredients. And it lends itself to being, you know, slightly more bitter. But not, you know, not like overpoweringly so. It's just bitter in that kind of classy sense, as I'm kind of trying to get at there. On the strength scale, we're going a little strong, you know. It's nothing too bad. To be fair, I could probably move that down more towards the weekend a little bit. But, you know, we're going a little strong with this drink. Complexity, nothing too bad. Only thing is again, like, less so than the boiling water and glass situation. There's a potential of buggering this one up if you put the wrong things in your shaker, which I have done before. And, yeah, for all of you, who are mixing cocktails back at home, you probably already know this, and you don't need me telling you, but I will enunciate it anyway. Do not put, you know, fizzy or carbonated ingredients in your shakers. That blows up your shakers. You don't want to do that. It's not a good... You don't want to shake your fizzy drinks. Please, just don't. Trust me. And finally, on the hot to cold scale, as you can probably gather by the fact that I shaker go boom, I know that from my G Fuel shaker, yeah. Shaker go boom indeed, yeah. When you have a pressurized container and you put a carbonated drink in there and you excite it, shall we say, it's a bad time. But yeah, and obviously this one's going to be a cold drink, as I said there. So, classy and well-composed, while also being a little bit silly and a little bit gremlin-y. Yeah, giving a good representation of Ame was a tall order. Yeah, it's oh God, what more do I say about her? Jump scare in a bottle, actually, yeah, no, that's a jump scare in a shaker. Is exactly what it is, Antipixel, yeah. But, like, what more, getting back to my point there, what more do you say about, like, Ame? I mean, she's been, like, if, like, you know, to speak of nothing else of her, like, you know, talents and how funny she is, like, essentially been the technical backbone of Hollow EN for as long as she's been there. And I guess with this affiliate status, she still somewhat is. But, yeah, it's like you've got to have that kind of, you know, that know-how and that complexity mixed with this kind of gremlin-y, fuck it, we ball energy. And it was honestly really hard to kind of come up with a drink that I think fit her here. Although the one thing I did know is that we are going to be using London Dry Gin. So we've got another gin drink tonight as the kind of base spirit here. Because she's obviously, you know, quote-unquote British. And I feel like as a British person, I should have some authority on that. But yeah, so we're going to be starting off with some London Dry as our first ingredient. We love gin. I never had it. It's like I say, it's not a spirit that a lot of people immediately vibe with. But it is quite nice, like, once you gain an appreciation for it, I believe is how I'd put it. Like, you can get, like, really nice gins. Obviously, I'm not talking about, like, you know, like, unicorn gins or, like, you know, the super sweetened stuff. But, like, you know, a good gin. It's like I say, you know, I like my London Dry. I like my Butterfly Pea we used in the previous cocktail. It's all good stuff, you know? I also apparently forgot to animate the name of this drink. So it's going to be called the Gin Pound for hopefully obvious reasons, because nothing beats a gin pound. I like gin paired with fruit. Yeah, gin and citrus linkberry, like citrus fruit specifically, is a match made in heaven. Like, that's great stuff. Super sweetened gin is my jam. Well, Harry, I mean, that's fair enough. That's fair enough, you know. To each their own. Like, I can get behind it occasionally, but I think from a mixing point of view, I'll try it sometime if I can get a meet up with a friend. Oh, yeah, fair enough. And I'm glad you agree with me on the citrus stuff, Linkberry. But yeah, so we're going to be making the gin pound, and I'm going to switch back over to hand cam. But not before hold on, I've got to change the stream stuff. Because it's still saying we're serving autumn fuchsia, and that is not true anymore. Excuse me. Oh, God. There we go. There. There we go. Right, okay, so, back down here. What would he do? Our first ingredient is going to be, and we're going to be putting this in our shaker this time. We're going to want 1.5 ounces of London Dry Gin. So, as I said, you know, as I was mentioning, Autumn Fuchsia is outdated. No, I wouldn't go that far. That sounds a little harsh. But as far as this stream, yeah, she's had a moment. It's Ame's time now. So, let's start off with 1.5 ounces of London Dry. And there's your half. There you go. Question I probably should have asked earlier, by the way. I assume the audio and the background music and my voice and everything is, like, balanced all right for everyone. Correct? I mean, I assume it has been. Like, it looks fine on my OBS, but always good to check this with the crowd. Right. So, there's our first kind of, I think, quite classy ingredient, even if it is fairly common. Some London Dry. Our next ingredient, up to the ock, is going to be something which I think is quite fancy anyway. Sounds great to me. Thank you very much, Harry. Someone hard of hearing, I hear you clearly. Well, that's the best endorsement I can get on that link, Bree, so thank you very much for letting me know. Yeah, much appreciated, both of you. But yeah, anyway, sorry. Next ingredient in this drink is going to be some White Vermouth. Some Vermouth Blanco. I have a Romanetti, because it's the one I had in my cupboard. I'll be real with you. But yeah. So Vermouth is like, I guess it's sort of like wine adjacent, but not really. But it does, I think, you know, give off this quite classy aura to it. So we're going to be putting half an ounce of it in this cocktail. In it goes. There we are. Ooh. And I shall try and not completely block out my blooming ring lights. I put the cap back on. There we go. Okay. Our next ingredient is going to be, and we only want a small amount of this. I repeat, small amount of this. It's critical that we do not put too much of this in, because it'll ruin the drink completely if you do. But it is 0.25 ounce of everyone's, oh god, why are you putting that in anything, liqueur. Goldschlager. Now, for those of you who don't know what Goldschlager is, it is a cinnamon kind of liqueur that has, if you can see it there, actual gold flakes in the bottom. Which is pretty fancy. Like I say, it adds the classy element. And also, because Goldschlager has a bit of a reputation, like, the cinnamon can go really well with the gin. Like I say, you know, it comes onto that, like, kind of herbal link. But obviously, I'm taking it in a very different direction with cinnamon as opposed to, you know, the stuff used in Chartreuse. But this stuff is very, very overpowering in flavor. I've got to be honest. So you need to be really careful whenever you mix stuff with it. Otherwise, you will just taste cinnamon, and, you know, I'm not sure if anyone's done, or anyone remembers that silly, like, cinnamon powder challenge from a while ago. Yeah, shotting this is kind of like that. So we want just a small amount, just to give, like, a little whiff of cinnamon, but, no, you know, not overpower anything. So I'd say that might even be too much, but that's all we need, like a quarter of an ounce, if that. Also, it's Goldschlager. Air is pronounced like air. Oh, yeah. My apologies, yeah. I actually didn't notice the umlaut, but it is Goldschlager. You're correct. My GCSE German failed me there. But thanks for the correction. So, is that too much? Okay. I'm actually going to just put a little bit of that back. There we go. So you want, like, a quarter of an ounce, if that, of Goldschlager. Nächstes Mal machst du richtig. You like that? I can pronounce it, but I don't know what it means. Because that's as far as GCSE German in this country takes you. And then the final alcoholic ingredient for this drink is going to be a couple of dashes of some Angostura Orange Bitters, which are 28% volume, and like I say, it's just very strong, kind of very bitter, quite orangey. Well, I mean, bitters. Like, they're just called bitters because they're like little things you put in drinks to change the flavor reasonably significantly with a few drops. So we want 2 dashes of this. Just 1, 2. That's a lot. And that'll give us kind of a bit of an orangey kick again. So we're, again, kind of leading on to what I was talking about earlier, Link Bree. We are definitely kind of leaning more into the gin and citrus vibe. And then we've thrown in a little kind of hint of cinnamon to be a bit gremlin-y about it, shall we say. A bit silly. Right. So our next step is ice. Now, I'm hoping this ice hasn't melted too much. It doesn't look like it has, which is great. So, I'm going to be putting some hexagons of ice from my hexagonal tray here. In here, I think, I don't know. Some of these are slightly melted, so I'll do a few more than normal. Let's go 7 hexagons, maybe? Yeah, 7 hexagons sounds good to me. Back over here for a moment. And then we're going to want to... glad to see we've got a bunch of hexagon enjoyers in chat at the minute. Yeah, I'm glad. It's also, these trays are really nice because they're all made of silicone, so they're very easy to pop the ice out the bottom, as opposed to, like, you know, the rigid plastic ones, which are, I think, are quite difficult to get the ice out of. Gonna roll all this into the large shaker. Give it a bit of a shake here. And then I'm going to shake it a little bit behind the mic so you all can hear it. So if anyone's here for your shaker ASMR for the stream, here it is. And I hope that's all coming through. God, it's actually quite a lot of ice in there. It's taken a while for it to kind of settle down. I'll do a bit of shaking up front as well. And then, like, optimal ice container ratio due to the honeycomb tiling. What a shame. There is always, like... Isn't that, like, one of the most cursed things in mathematics, where, like, optimal packing of shapes with squares is not you just arrange them in squares? You have to do some, like, really weird stuff that looks horrible, and then you get more squares in. There's some, God, I can't remember the exact name of it, so apologies if I just sound like I'm ranting like a madman a minute, but there's some, like... branch of mathematics that to do with optimal packing, where like the optimal way is to just do something that looks fucking horrendous. Okay, we're getting there with the ice. Just a bit more shaking, I think. Maybe see the sounds changed a bit now that the ice is starting to melt. Alright, almost there. Optimal tiling of the Euclidean space using symmetric bodies. That does sound like a paper I could have read it in, yeah. Okay, right, I'm going to call that done. So, what we're then going to do is we're going to get our glass, and also one other thing, which I'm going to have to nip over to the other side of the room because I forgot. 1 second. We are. Got it. I hope it's the right one. It is. Yes. Got it. Got it. Right. So, let's get our glass, shall we? There we go. Apologies if my camera is lagging out slightly. I'm not sure if that's happening on stream. Looks like it's, yeah, being a bit weird at the minute. Not entirely sure why. Oh. The gloves are stained. Oh well. So hopefully it's still a reasonable watching experience. Right, so, first we're going to get these shakers open, there we go. And we're going to pour in our alcohol. So there's that mix. There we go. Now, we've got a couple more ingredients to add yet. I'm curious, do you plan out a drink recipe in advance or curating these on the fly? Don't get me wrong, I'm chuffed that you think I could curate some of this stuff on the fly, Harry. But it is more the case that I think of, like, what I would want a specific VTuber's drink to be. I play around with it a bit. I, like, you know, iterate on that until eventually I can bring something to the stream that I think is quite good. Ooh, give me a second, sorry. There might have been something in that glass. It doesn't look like a flake of gold either, so it's not allowed. Do excuse me. Yeah. But yeah, so like while I'm flattered that you think I could ad lib some of these, no, these are all the results of a couple of rounds of trial and error. So anyway, next ingredient we are going to, because obviously this isn't much of a drink in a very tall glass for just this small amount of alcohol. We're going to be adding about 3.5 ounces of ginger ale. You will never get the experience of one of these just being really bad. Oh no, there's a couple in the past where I think I've had to, like, I've run out of time to lab them, so I presented what I had, but I've had to present it with a, hey, this is kind of not my best effort. I do want to do, like, a replay week at some point where I go over some of the ones I'm less proud of. And kind of try and redo them. But for now, anyway, I think both of these I am pretty proud of. So we're going to be adding 3.5 ounces of ginger beer to this, or ginger ale, I should say. This is one of those ingredients you don't add to your shaker, because, dear God, don't do that. That's a bad idea. There's 2. There's 3. And finally, we just want a half. There we go. You turn into a wizard momentarily if you do that. In a sense, I suppose? Maybe? Oh, hold on, let me just get this cap back on. God, I hate these caps that are... Hold on, let me show off what I mean. I hate these caps that are joined. Just let me screw me thing on. Cinnamon ginger beer taste actually sounds really good. Yeah, exactly. So, like, you've got the cinnamon ginger beer kind of thing going. You've got, obviously, then, you know, the orange bitters, the gin, and the, and, like, the kind of, cinnamon kind of playing there as well. It's for the environment. Name me one person, because, like, they say, oh, well, these are attached, they can be recycled together. Name me one person that recycled the caps and the bottles separately. You can't. It's a scam. It's a front. I don't believe it. They've done this to make specifically my life less convenient. I don't like them for it. Oh, right. Anyway, well, I guess final ingredients, then we'll move on to some garnishes, is we're going to be adding to top some tonic water. Got nothing fancy here, but just some good old tonic water. There we go. Fill it up to about there. Personal grudge. Tough to disprove those conspiracies because you can't, because it's real. Ha ha ha. Oh, that bloody cap. It's admittedly not helped that I'm trying to do this with gloves on. It's just like, come on, let's be having you. I've got a stream to do, and I need you to play ball here. There we go. Right. Okay, now, for the garnish, we've got a couple of different ways we can take this. Obviously, when I used Goldschlager initially, I was like, oh, we'll get some gold flakes in this maybe. You don't always, though, because there aren't very many gold flakes in Goldschlager. They're somewhat cheaped out on that. So, what we're going to do is, first up, I'm going to get this orange, which, I mean, why does it look like it's packing? Anyway, yeah, I'm going to get this orange. I'm going to make an incision down the middle. Well, just a little one, so I've got a kind of point of reference, and then I'm going to slice either side of that. Yeah, remove that. And also do the same for the other side. So we get a fairly, like, thick wedge of orange. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good, actually. And then we're going to cut that in half. My desk's going to be a mess after this, but oh well. There we go. And then we're going to kind of incision about there. And we're going to add that to the drink. Nice little bit of orange. Let me wipe this out the way there. Gloves at the minute. It's fine. It's called a gin pound, so you got to pound it. I mean, if by pound you mean like Charlie. Actually, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna add this again in a bit because I've realised the other garnish I need to do first is we're gonna make this thing sparkle a little bit. We're gonna add one of my favourite things for jazzing drinks up. Some edible glitter. Now, not too much of this, because with it being a clear drink, the effect isn't quite as good as with, like, darker coloured drinks. And also, if you add too much, you get this kind of, like, weird, grainy consistency. But yeah, we're just gonna very lightly tap a bit on. Like about that much. That should do. That should be plenty, actually. And you can see, actually, that the great thing about this is that you don't even have to really stir the drink for this kind of effect to start happening. But I will anyway. But you can see, like, you get this kind of, like, this nice luster and sparkle going to the drink. So I'm going to stir that now. It also changes its colour slightly. The ginger ale and the glitter are bonding, in a sense. So there we are. We've got that. We've got our trusty orange. There you go. And that, if I do say so myself, is a well done drink. So let me push this lot out the way. See if I can get a... I indeed can. Bit of a messy thumbprint on this, but... Oh, can I... No, I need to take my gloves off. There we go. And there we are. 1 gin pound. And what a fancy, like, kind of classy looking drink it is. I think we can all agree. On the presentation front, the glitters, like, you know, when they're called for, do really well. I can highly recommend the investment if you want to make some very snazzy looking drinks. But enough about that. Let's taste the thing, shall we? Yeah. I accidentally hit my PC's power button, so I guess I'll be in bed early tonight. Oh! Oh! Hang on. My camera still on? I think there may have been a glitch with my camera system. 1 second. I'm going to have to fix that. Chotomate kudasai. Why are we frozen? Okay, hang on. Relaunch that. Yeah, sorry, my camera just died for some reason. Like the worst time, I was about to go through the drink. I mean, at least I got the picture, I guess, but... Right, connect. Ah, we're back. Excellent. Right, and... Preview. And... You get back there. And... We're back. Okay. But anyway, sorry, let me catch up with those chats before that technical issue. I accidentally hit my PC's power button, so I guess I'll be in bed early tonight. Yeah, sometimes it do be like that. Although, I guess what position are you in where you accidentally hit a power button? Oh. Drink's so good it's frozen. The camera drink's so good he literally froze. Yeah, it was that good, it just stunned silence is what I got out of that. But now let me give this another reasonable shot at kind of describing its flavor profile, shall we? I think, honestly, this is one of those drinks where I feel like having this orange here is not just a garnish in the sense that it looks nice. Like, the gold glitter is the garnish in the sense that it looks nice. This orange is low-key essential, like, to the drink. God, I'm moving so weird. It's like, ugh. Because my camera's lagging. I hit my power adapter's power button with my foot's at full. Oh, you mean you hit it off from like the wall essentially? Ah, right. That makes a bit more sense. That I can get behind. But yeah, it's like this orange I think is super critical because there's a lot of bitter elements to this drink. Like you've got the gin obviously being kind of bitter. There's the tonic water you fill it up with. There's I guess the vermouth a little bit you can get in there as well as being in that kind of bitter spectrum, although not too much. And there's obviously the orange bitters in there as well. Which is weird that they're complemented by a big old slice of orange, but in a way it's also not, if that makes sense. It's like, well, yeah, I guess orange bitters would go with orange. It's all orange. But the orange kind of adds a bit of levity to that. And allows you to kind of enjoy those flavors on the longer end without them, like, being overwhelming. Like, don't get me wrong, on the actual front end of the taste of this drink, it's very sweet, like you're getting the ginger beer, you're getting like some notes of the vermouth there that are like, you know, quite nice. And then I think it's the Goldschlager, which is why you don't want too much of it, that kind of comes in after that and makes this kind of switch between like via cinnamon from, ooh, we're very sweet to, ooh, we're getting, like, quite bitter now. So we've got, you know, the kind of bitters. You've got the bitter tonic water. You've got the kind of bitter, like, almost herbliness of the gin. And it's quite a nice, and, like, it does leave you on that bitter note for quite a while. But that just makes you want to take another sip and have another kind of, like, you know, kind of almost palate cleanse with this slice of orange that you go to, like, you essentially get like a nose full of whenever you have a drink. Like, it sounds silly, but I think this orange slice is, like, pretty cool. And this is maybe a bit thicker than it needed to be, this orange, but I wanted to make sure it held its form, you know? And I'll be finishing off, before anyone complain, you know, and has any worries about me wasting stuff, I'll be finishing off these slices of oranges after stream along with the drinks, because I'm not letting that go to waste. That's free food right there. Hey. But yeah, no, honestly, I think it's a drink that's done Ame justice, you know. It's sweet at the start. It goes, you know, it progresses into this much more complex, kind of like series of interconnected flavors. You want to come back for more of it. It's like vaguely-ish her color scheme if you squinted it, maybe. Okay, I guess maybe it's more Kiara's, but I'm working with what I can here. Oh. And, yeah. I think 2 out of 2 drinks tonight, which have gone very damn well. Yeah. That is a magnificent drink. And obviously, you know, with the glitter as well. Kiara needs Fireball or something. You are actually so true for that. I was thinking, like... very cool. How long have you been mixing drinks for? Ooh, that's a good question, actually, Harry. I've been mixing drinks on stream for, like, just over 1.5 years. If you're talking about when I just started trying to mix things together, that's been getting on for more like 2 or 3 years. Like, you know, I'm not someone who has like a bar experience. I'm just someone who saw Greg from How to Drink during the pandemic, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll give that a go. That sounds like fun. And yeah, it's really opened kind of like a lot of doors for me, and also I say opened a lot of doors. That's the wrong phrase entirely. It's opened my eyes to a lot of different kind of like opportunities within like mixing drinks, as in like, oh, well, I'd never have touched something like Absinthe before or Chartreuse, but now I have an idea of like, oh, this could go with this, and this is actually quite cool. You know, and I can make these kind of more complicated flavors and these drinks, you know, for the purposes of the stream, in honor of, you know, different VTubers, and I think it's it's a pretty cool concept, and I hope people enjoy it as much as I do. And also, you know, credit to the OG, check out Greg from How to Drink, because he's the one who inspired me. Well, one of 2 people, actually. I would be remiss, particularly with the Valhalla soundtrack going in the background, I would be remiss not to also credit Soulbomb on YouTube as being a huge inspiration. He's a Korean bartender. I'm not actually sure he does much of the bartending like videos anymore. But there was a series he did many years ago on all of the Valhalla cocktails from the game Valhalla, which is a game about bartending in like a cyberpunk setting. That game had a certain number of drinks you could make, and he made all of them in real life, and I've made most of them from his recipes, and they are some of the nicest drinks I've ever had. In particular, if you have to watch one drink he's made, go and look for the Piano Woman. Like, Soulbomb's Piano Woman is genuinely one of the nicest substances on this earth. I'm not kidding. Like, huge respect to him, huge respect to Greg. And you know what? A good old, you know, a good old hunk of respect for me as well for making these fine drinks tonight. But anyway, I think, with that being said, obviously I'll be putting the recipes for these drinks on my YouTube video probably a bit later tonight. Go and check out the VTubers. I mean, Ame is obviously graduated, but Awesome Fuchsia, who we made the first drink for, is having a new model debut tomorrow. So definitely check that out. Although, obviously, for those of you who it might affect the sensibilities of, she does do 18 plus stuff, so, you know, just fair warning, as it were. Her streams are normally pretty chill, though. It's like you have to go looking for that sort of stuff. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, obviously, go check out the VTubers. I'll put their drink recipes in the description of the YouTube video in case anyone needs like a written down format of it. Because I appreciate, I was obviously, thank you all for obviously coming and chatting with me while I was doing that. I appreciate I've been chatting a bit more than usual tonight, backwards and forwards, but honestly, I've loved doing it. And yeah, thank you everyone who's stopped by, you know, Antipixel, Parry, Miracle Gaming for a little bit at the start there, Link Brewery. We had Aya as well. We had Peppermint Cordial at the very start. I think that's basically everyone. But yeah, thank you one and all for stopping by. And like I say, I do these streams, these cocktail streams monthly, in case it's your first time here. I also do a bunch of other stuff. My kind of wheelhouse is drinking, fighting, and gambling, the noble gentlemanly arts. By which I mean making cocktails for VTubers, gambling purely for MMR and stuff like poker and mahjong, and fighting games, of which I am contemplating doing a Grand Blue stream next week, even though I'm not quite at Master yet. But yeah, that's a story for another time. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I've been Artorius Winchester, and I'll see you next time. Wait, hold on, I've got the wrong screen up. I don't really need to do this, but I will anyway. There we are. Much better. This is what I should have had while I was doing all that outro spiel. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. You know, if you could do, you know, liking video, following other such shenanigans, subscribing, you know, wherever it is, wherever you happen to be watching it, whatever the equivalent is, that'd be very much appreciated. I am trying to get grow so I can get some custom emotes for you all. So I think that would be neat. But yeah, I'll stop umming and erring and bid you farewell.